All right, guys, welcome back the to office hours. And I'm here to answer your all's questions. And specifically, we're going to talk about Zapier today, before we get into questions. So let's focus in on that. Um, let's What I wanted to run through is just some of our Zapier functionality, and we've been seeing a few kind of recurring issues that people are running into when they're trying to connect things to ProLine. And with that being the case, I want to clear some of that up and make sure people are understanding how to connect things to ProLine. So what what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and create a Zap here inside of Zapier. Now, if you don't know what Zapier is, Zapier is like a no-code automation tool that allows you to link things together that don't otherwise have an integration. So we have a number of native integrations for ProLine with different softwares, but the our integration through Zapier allows you to connect ProLine to virtually anything that you can imagine, as long as they also have a Zapier integration, which most platforms do. So here they have a really cool AI thing. You can just sort of type in what you want it to do, and it's usually pretty good, but it can get you into trouble. You do have to, at the end of the day, make it yourself and make sure it's going to work the way you need it to. On the trigger side, so there's basically two parts to every Zap. There's the trigger and then there's the actions. You can have any number of actions, but you always have one trigger. So we're on ProLine. I think I have our demo account. And then I'll select, we have a number of different triggers here. The most common ones that are going to come up is you're going to want to trigger based off of a project being moved inside of ProLine. So you have projects here, and as they're moving from stage to stage, you might want to trigger something in another platform. So like once something goes to quote sent, for example, you want to trigger something somewhere else on another piece of software. Um, that can be accomplished using this project creator updated. And then with that selected, you want to select stage change here. So there's a number of different details here for the trigger. So stage change, it makes it only run when that stage has changed. Updated is going to run off any sort of update in the system that might change project information. And then created or updated is going to be sort of the maximal number of triggers. And then you have also the ability to do it just when the project is initially created. So you have a number of different options there. That's going to be like the most common trigger, but there's a number of other triggers here as well that we can use. Things like when chargeback is complete, which is, if someone disputes a card payment, when a contact is created or updated, when an event is created or updated, when an invoice is sent or paid, communication activities like when text messages occur, when emails occur, all of that. When orders are sent or accepted, payment complete, quote sent, refund complete, and then also you can trigger Zapiers to run directly from ProLine campaigns. So we actually have a Zapier trigger step that you can put into campaigns and trigger Zapiers off of that. So if we go in here, we can add in. So there's already one in here from another video that I recorded. I have this Zapier trigger, and all I got to do is put this in here, and then inside of Zapier. And I want to make sure, I hope both screens are visible. Let me see. I've been like jumping back and forth. Oh, okay. Let me reshare my screen here so you guys can see. Okay, here we go. So now you guys can see both. No, don't want to do that. Okay, so this is Zapier. That's what was shown before, but also inside of ProLine, um, you have inside of a campaign, you can have this Zapier trigger. And then if I go into Zapier, I can then select that trigger, go to configure, and I can actually select it here. So that was this one, appointment reminders, step 8. and I can then make that the trigger for this Zapier automation. So there's some things for that too, like specifically if you want to run something like when an event is scheduled, this would be the preferred way to do it. But you could also do it off stage change. There's always multiple ways to accomplish things. It just depends on kind of details around what you're looking for. And that's one of the things with Zapier is that you kind of it allows you to build things without having to code anything. But at the end of the day, like this is you're kind of coding here. So you got to be able to think like a coder. Um, and if you're not able to, you might need to engage somebody who can kind of think through these automations and make them work the way they need to work. So that's on the trigger side. On the action side, there's a number of actions you can take from Zapier for ProLine. Interacting with events, canceling events, creating activities for different types of activity, call activity, message activity. You can create or update contacts, you create or update projects, and we're going to go over both of these because these are where probably people sort of mess up their Zapiers the most is on these two. Creating and updating events, that also can get messed up, which we'll go over here in a second. And then the ability to upload files to a project as well. So you have an existing project and you need to upload files to it. There's also some search steps, and they're not doing actions inside of ProLine directly, but they are pulling information out of ProLine. So one of the like it's like finding a project based on its address or based on the main contact, finding a contact based on their phone, email, or address, finding a team member based on their name or their email. So there's a number of different situations where you need to try to pull in the exact object in ProLine, and then that way you can use it in a subsequent step because you can have multiple of these steps. So, a common setup might be you have a trigger on a different platform. Normally, you wouldn't have like ProLine triggering something and then something happening. That's would not be normal. You would want to usually avoid that to avoid like looping and stuff. But usually you'd have a trigger here for another platform and then you'd be doing stuff in ProLine and you might have a search step that's like finding a project or finding a contact and then you're taking action on that. So then you're making changes to that project or contact. Um, I want to dive in well, one thing I want to highlight before moving past this search is this check availability. So this check availability specifically allows you to, for a specific team member or list of team members, um, I guess it's, yeah, for a list of team members. So you can select a list of team members here. And for the list of team members, and for a specific start and end date, and for a specific event type, you can pull in all the available time slots on which those there is availability for at least one person in this list. So for at least one of those people in the list of team members, um, who's available. And what this is used for specifically is integrating with external booking services. Um, One of the most common is some of these AI external booking services that exist, the calling, especially where or the chat where you need to be able to send availability to that AI chat or to the AI phone system, and basically that system needs to be able to check availability inside of ProLine across both all of your events in ProLine and then also all of your external Google Calendar or Office 365 calendar events. And that can be done through this one check availability action. And then that's pulled back into the Zap and then can get passed back to the AI. So without this, the AI has no idea, like it's going to just book. It could double book all over the place and stuff. So this allows it to kind of have that context. So we'll move on from this. The other thing I really want to highlight in this call today is the difference between creator update contact, creator update event, and creator update project. So before I start diving into the differences, um, if you're wondering which one of these three to use, 90% of the time you should be using creator update project. So that's a very important thing to understand is you need to try to use creator update project before trying to use anything else. The only time that you would use, and I mean the only time where you would use creator update event or creator update contact is if you've already exhausted every single way to use the creator update project and you still can't get the result that you're looking for. So always start with creator update project and work from there. And I'm going to show you why. Inside of the creator update project, we have different sections. We have project here, project, and then a vertical line. These are all specifically to project. And then we have contact. So everything that you would do using the creator update contact step can already be done using the creator update project. And the we have that built into the creator update project because a contact is required for a project. And so that's all in here. And then also events. It's possible to schedule an event through this same action as well. And the reason why all three of these are included in one action is because it's a really common situation for you to have a new lead coming in from some external source. And that new lead is going to include all the information about the project, all the information about the customer, their phone number, email, all of that. And it's going to include an event. So, and like for example, these AI schedulers, they're pulling in a new customer, all of their information, and then they're finding the availability, and then they're scheduling the event. So, if you're working with, say, an AI calling system or AI scheduler, the right setup would be to have one Zap that's checking the availability, and then you have another Zap that is using this creator update project to put that into the system all at once in one step. So you're not going to split it out and like create a project and then create an event. That's not going to work. In most cases, that's going to just break for multiple reasons um, and be really complicated. This setup is designed to take in all that information at once under a project. And the project being sort of the container in which the event lives and that contact lives. And so this is the way that you're going to pull new leads into ProLine if you're going to set up like a speed to lead integration through Zapier for ProLine with something else. Or if you have an external booking service like one of those AIs, it's going to go through this. 9 times out of 10, 90% of the time, this is what you should be using. Now, if now there's some situations and there's reasons that we have these other actions. So we have creator update contact, creator update event. And so I'll go over those reasons now. So the only reason that you would use creator update contact is if you are needing to create a contact, which is different from a project. So if we go back to ProLine, these are projects. Projects have a contact or multiple contacts associated with them, but contacts do not get moved between stages, that they do not represent jobs, they just represent people. And so if you need to create a person in your ProLine to keep track of, and usually this would be a non-customer, so it would be like a real estate agent or maybe a vendor or something like that. Um, in that situation, you might want to use that creator update contact. Since we added this creator update project, because these are all this one specifically is old. It's really from our legacy system, and we've just kept it updated from the new system. I have never actually seen a viable use case for the creator update contact because you like if you're working with real estate agents, you would just put that manually into ProLine. There's not really a reason. There's not going to be a high volume of vendors or real estate agents or stuff like that. Now, there could be, but it's unlikely. So generally, you just don't want to use creator update contact. It's very highly unlikely that you would ever want to use this. We have it there in case there is a use case, but it's be very unlikely you would need to use it. Creator update event is a little bit different. So creator update event, you might need to use this if you are creating events after projects have already been created. So maybe you have projects coming into ProLine as leads, but then you want to um, schedule events for those projects. Now, the thing is, you can technically even still do that with Creator Update Project. You just need to add a find, depending on what information, maybe a find project or a find contact step up here. So you might want to do like a find. It'd be pretty common to do like find contact and find a contact based on their phone or email, and then you would do a find project step, and then you could search for No, not that one. Find project. You would find that and you would actually search by the main contact ID and see if there's an existing project for this. And you might want to filter it by the current stage or the current status, and find a project for that already exists for that contact. And then the thing is, you can then pass the ID. If you find an ID here, you can pass that into this project edit by project ID, and you can still schedule an event. So you can still pass the event information. So that it's highly unlikely, but there is situations where you might want to only schedule an event for an existing project, and it's just completely in isolation, but it's uncommon. And so that's the biggest message that I want to impart on this video is we are it is like when you're building with Zapier, you should be using Creator Update Project and trying everything you can to make that work because it probably will work for you. And you're only going to look at these other things if this, for some reason, is just impossible to make work the way you need it to. But chances are this works exactly how it needs to because we've put an immense amount of effort into making this Creator Update Project action very robust for a lot of use cases. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and I know you guys have some questions, so I'm going to move on to those, and we'll kind of wrap up here. Or I'll wrap up my part of the presentation and we'll go through these. Garth says, get that Eagle View automation. Garth, I think you're referring to something you had brought up last office hours or the last one we had. That is on the idea board. So it's all about the votes. If it gets votes, we prioritize everything based on the votes that they get. That's the way we have to operate. It's the only fair way to operate. It's the only way that we're able to actually listen to everybody is by having it based on votes. So, yeah, I would if you're connected to any other ProLine customers, you can always go talk to them, be like, hey, like this idea, I think this would help you too, um, and share that. You can actually share. There's a link in the idea board, so you can copy that link and send people directly to it. I'm a huge fan of like if you really believe something needs to get added, then go out and whip the votes. Like go find people to vote. If you can get people to vote, like we will prioritize it. There's no such thing as a bad vote in my book. So, um, okay, we got some stuff in the Q&A section now. I got a question from Garrett. Definitely would love to go over the process and how to integrate Roofer into ProLine. So we will never integrate Roofer with ProLine because Roofer is a competitor. Um, you can certainly use Roofer reports. You can export them as CSV and then import them into ProLine. You just need to configure your CSV measurement importer tool, which can be done on the integrations page. But we'll never have any kind of direct Roofer integration. Um, we are talking about Zapier here though, so that's valid. You can integrate Roofer into ProLine using Zapier, but it's not for measurement reports. They don't expose their measurement reports. However, you can use their instant estimator and then have that go into ProLine. And the way you would do that is using this creator update project. So you would have a Zapier step um, that it is public. So I think this is fine. To do this, I'm going to change to Roofer. They do have an app. So they have, I want to say, roofer lead created. Yeah, via the roofer instant estimator. So you would use this as the trigger, and then you would have creator update project in ProLine. And that's the only two things that you need. That will then create the project in ProLine each time the instant estimator is submitted. Oh, I see. Garrett, I saw you then said using Zapier. Yeah. So using Zapier, that's how to connect the instant estimator. There isn't really any other way to, like through Zapier that I'm aware of. They do have other triggers here, but if you're using ProLine as CRM, I don't think any of these other ones would be relevant. It's just the lead created. So, okay. Close that. I have a few more minutes here. Garth asks, can we change the campaigns to have function triggers instead of just time triggers? 6 hours and then next actions. Um, function trigger. So I think you're asking about just triggers in general. So there's only three types of triggers currently for ProLine campaigns. There's the moving of a project between different stages. So if this moves into inspection schedule and there's a stage trigger, well, you wouldn't want a stage trigger. You have an event trigger for inspection scheduled, but like quote sent, for example, if James test goes into quote sent and there's an active stage trigger on that stage, which there isn't, but we could turn this on, that could trigger a campaign based on this logic. Then there's event triggers that are triggered based on when events are scheduled. So if you go to company settings, events, and then you go to like inspection. So this is an event trigger that's starting a campaign. And then there's integration triggers, which are all going to be from the integrations page. So you can configure on like a per integration basis, for example, RoofQuote Pro, you can configure a contact campaign. This is an example of a integration trigger. One of the things we were working on this summer is going to be something called, we have it on the idea board right now under the name of simul campaigns. And so, Garth, if you're looking for that, go vote on simul campaigns on the idea board because simul campaigns is going to include what you're asking for, which is, well, that's not technically accurate. It won't include it in um, version one, but it's required in order for us to do what you're asking. What you're asking is what I think you're asking is just for there to be more triggers within ProLine that can trigger automations. So for the example you gave, Eagle View measurements are present, and then it takes an action. So if you have, yeah, in order to add in all those triggers, we have to rebuild the whole automation engine to be simul campaigns. We're going to be actually renaming them to simul workflows, but simul run multiple campaigns simultaneously. So go vote on this if you want that because it's what's required in order to do that. I do think that there's another trigger here. If I just search for trigger automations triggered by measurements or subcalculations. So that's actually kind of maybe similar to what you're asking for. Um, there is so enhanced campaign logic with conditional triggers. There's a number of different campaign trigger ideas here that you can go vote for. And then also, if you're looking for more, go submit specifically what you're looking for because when it comes to these triggers, each one has to be custom built. So we're not just gonna like add this sort of open-ended functionality. It's like we'll launch one new type of trigger at a time. So we're like launch the ability to trigger automations based on Eagle views, for example. That might be one thing that we add, but we're only gonna add it if there's votes for it. So go add each one of those things specifically that you are that you're looking to use as a trigger for your campaigns to the idea board. And then we'll be prioritizing those over time based on votes. But it's all kind of goes back to that simultaneous campaigns, which is this idea: run multiple campaigns simultaneously. So if that's something that you're looking for, this is the first thing that has to happen. Um, and so this comes first, and then all the other triggers and stuff will be possible afterwards. Garrett asked, can you send me the recording of this call? So all of these calls get posted on YouTube. Um, so let me see at ProLine app.
What's going on, James?
All of these go to the Office Hours playlist, which is CRM Office Hours right here. So if you're looking for this recording, it may take a week or two to go out, but it will get published here under CRM Office Hours. So just make sure to go and subscribe to our YouTube. And so you get the notifications when new videos get dropped, and then look out for that playlist, and that's where the recording will get published. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Garth, Garrett, I appreciate you guys chiming in with questions. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks so much for joining, guys. I appreciate all the questions, and I'll see you guys next week.